What's up guys, it's Reflex, and before I say anything else, I want to inform you this video is very biased. So, if you're anything like me with new hobbies, you're probably watching every video you can find to help you decide what to buy first. So these are what I would call my top 5 recommended fountain pens for a beginner. They'll all be under $30, so let's get into it. Now, these are in no particular order, but I'm just going to go ahead and start with the Pilot Kakuno. It comes in a variety of fun colors as well as clear, and the nib has cute faces on it, and you can find them with extra fine, fine, and medium nibs. If you're unsure of what nib size you want, be on the lookout for next week's video, which will be on nib sizes. Anywho, the Kakuno is a great beginner option because it's only about $12 and it can be easily obtained from many different places. It also has Pilot quality control, which means that you can rest assured that you're going to get a fountain pen with a nib that works and works well, which isn't always guaranteed, sadly. And I've personally never seen anyone get a Kakuno with a bad nib. I'm sure someone has, but I've never seen it like I have with other budget pens and even expensive fountain pens. So the only real downside to the Kakuno in my eyes is that it only comes with one ink cartridge, but you can buy a converter separately if you want to use bottled inks. And this is what you can expect if you buy one. You have the body, the cap, and then there is one little ink cartridge right there. And here is the cute little face. Next up is a pen that you should all be familiar with if you've seen any of my videos or know me at all. It's the Majohn C1, now called the Majohn C1, but it'll always be Majohn in my book. No one can bully that name change into me. I absolutely adore my C1s, and what makes them good is that they're cheap, under $30. They come with a converter, and they come with an eyedropper because the C1 can be eyedroppered. And if you don't know what that means you can take fountain pen ink from a bottle and eyedropper it directly into... Really? Sorry, Jack wants to play with a toy while I'm recording. But what it means is that you can eyedropper the ink directly into the pen. As you can see, it's just floating here in the pen. And this lets you add a lot of ink. As you can see, this body could hold a lot of ink. You can also get one with an extra fine, fine, medium, and a bent/fude nib. But I must say the chances of getting a perfect nib are a bit slimmer than your chances with something like the Kakuno. They always do seem to work when I get them, but maybe not the exact way I prefer. They're usually a bit drier than I like. But if you're just starting out, it's still an amazing beginner pen, and I have way too many fountain pens ranging from $1 or less to $600, and I still always have at least one of my C1s inked at all times. Now, back to a pen that has decent chances of working no problem is the next pen, Platinum Preppy. This is not a Platinum Preppy because I would also include the Platinum Little Meteor in this category. That's what this is. They both use the same nib, but the Little Meteor comes in my opinion a cuter body. But I think the Preppy may be most people's top recommendation for a beginner fountain pen because it's about $5. It comes in a lot of different colors with an extra fine, fine, or medium nib. It does only come with one ink cartridge, but you can buy a converter if you want to use bottled inks, and the nib is decent, blah, blah, blah. What really makes the Preppy and Little Meteor special at this price is that they have some cool tech called the slip and seal cap. And with that neat little mechanism in the cap, the pen is able to seal very well and not dry out for at least a year. So if I'm able to put this up to my mic, it gives a nice satisfying snap. And I don't know how well I'll be able to show you inside the cap, but you may be able to see that clear plastic down towards the end of the cap. That just gives it a really nice seal. I am so sorry if you hear Jack playing in the background. He's having a great time, so I'm just gonna keep recording. The next recommendation is a bit tough for me. I have my own negative feelings toward TWSBI, and if it weren't for those issues, the TWSBI Swipe would be definitely my #1 beginner fountain pen recommendation. And it was for a long time, to be fair. At a little under $30, it comes with a stylish body, available in a few colors, a decent nib ranging from extra fine to a 1.1 millimeter italic, which is a great range of nib sizes. Comes with 2 different types of converters and a very large ink cartridge. So it really has everything a beginner could want. The only downside to this pen is the history with TWSBI, that you can do your own research to form your own opinions. And they also have the history with their pens cracking. Some people say it's blown out of proportion, some people say it's totally normal, and some people say it's not a big deal because if you email them, they'll send you a replacement part if you pay shipping that costs way more than shipping should be. But you know, it's whatever. I will say I am extremely careful with all of my stationery, always have been. You know, in school, when everyone got their planner from school, and you know, 2 weeks in, everyone's was destroyed, mine still looked brand new. That's how careful I am with everything. And I've still had 2 of my TWSBI pens crack, one of them being this Swipe. The Swipe is still fully functional at this time, at least, and it has been great other than the little minor crack here at the cap. You might not even be able to really see it in the video in this lighting. You can kind of see it. Let me turn on. Yeah, you can kind of see that crack. So it is still functional, so it's not the biggest deal. But it is also worth mentioning that, you know, out of all my other pens, I've never had any other of my pens crack. Even my $1, cheaper than $1 pens. But if you're a beginner, you may not care about the drama and their history or the cracking potentially. You know, there's a good chance yours won't crack. But there is just that to think about. But again, you might not care about that. And if you don't, that's okay. You'll enjoy any pen on this list. So don't worry about it. Don't stress about it too much. If you like this pen and the only thing you're unsure about is that history with the cracking or their other history, just get it. At the end of the day, do whatever. I mean, it's a good pen other than that. So enjoy what you want to enjoy. And the final pen is another Moonman / Majohn pen. And you know, I'm sure things can also be said about cheap Chinese pens that take creative liberties with other companies' designs and, you know, Chinese workers' rights and working conditions. Who knows? But I digress. The Majohn A2 is a really cool fountain pen that uses a click mechanism instead of a cap. And it comes in a few different colors, but only with an extra fine nib. I have heard murmurs of people receiving theirs with a scratchy nib or having issues with the nib drying out. But at this price, at about $10, this pen is absolutely worth getting. I currently have mine inked up and it's a go-to for using with my planner because my planner has small lines and this extra fine nib works great. I will say it's not the smoothest nib ever, but at a nib this size, I can't really expect anything too smooth at this price and at this size especially. But yeah, really overall enjoyable experience. I love this. It has a nice little faceted design. Plastic, there is also the A1, which is like a metal body covered with like paint or something. I don't like that one. It's a lot slipperier, heavier. The click mechanism is not as good. It's just kind of like the upgraded version. I think there is also an A3. I don't remember though. Don't quote me on that. So those are my top 5 beginner fountain pen recommendations. If you're looking into getting your first fountain pen, you know, what pen are you thinking about getting? And if you're not a beginner, what would your top 5 list look like? You know, feel free to add that, so if any beginners look in the comments, they can see some other recommendations. As usual, let me know if you have any questions and I'll respond to your comment as soon as possible. I'll see y'all next week on a video about nib sizes. See you later.